Welcome back to the Resistance broadcast, everybody, or welcome if it's your first time. My name's John. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are the official podcast of StarWarsNewsNet.com. We are going to talk about the latest in Star Wars news today. No, we're not. There's no Star Wars news, let's be honest. It's June 2020. Not a lot going on. So we're going to change things up a little bit today and put the focus on you out there in the Resistance and give you guys the spotlight here to help us create content on this episode. But before we do that, with me as always, James and Lacey.
Hello.
How are you guys? It's June. June 1st. That means summer is right around the corner. Things are heating up, but not really in Star Wars news. So we're doing a crazy different episode today.
What happens in June? What's the first thing? Is that like
first day of summer?
That's not the beginning of summer.
June 21st is.
Yeah.
June 21st is, which is crazy, right?
Mm.
To me, I don't even care about when the real date is. I block it off by month, right?
I kind of consider after Memorial Day, like you're getting into summer.
To me, it's June, July, and August is summer.
Mm.
Not even like some of September?
No, that's fall. September, October, November is fall.
Because summer you still
December,
got the Labor
January,
Day.
February is winter. And then March, April, and May is spring.
Interesting.
Of course, it's
Do
still pretty
stormtroopers
cold in
wear
March.
white after Labor Day?
When is Labor Day?
Like September 1st. Like it's like the last
Yeah,
summer.
I always get that confused.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think I get Memorial Day and Labor Day mixed up.
Well, Memorial Day is always the end of May, and Labor Day is beginning of September.
Lacey, what holidays have parades?
I don't know. What is this conversation right now?
It's a conversation I had with my wife the other day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't go to parades.
So, guys, it's June 1st. I was thinking about this for a while. We had the exclusive Make Solo 2 Happen variant shirt that was there for the one day last week and gone. So some people took advantage of that and grabbed it. And we also have a giveaway to announce. And the requirement was someone had to tweet out Make Solo 2 Happen 5 times on Make Solo 2 Happen Day. And a lot of people did that. But only one person won the t-shirt. And with the t-shirt, we're also giving away a Making of Solo by Rob Bradeau, the producer and ILM head honcho over there at Lucasfilm. And we'll just say it, the winner right now, the lucky one out of... There was like 35,000 Make Solo 2 Happen tweets. This person had at least 5 of them. We're talking like Charlie and the Golden Ticket style at this point. Maybe even worse odds, but never tell him the odds. His name is Neil Marriott at Kidda1708. Neil has won the red variant Make Solo 2 Happen t-shirt and the Making of Solo book by Rob Bradeau. Neil, congratulations. Round of applause for Neil.
Woo! Way to go, Neil.
We will be in touch with you to get your information and get that out to you. But we're going to give one more opportunity to get one of those shirts. And what we're going to do here is bringing back Rate the Resistance on Apple Podcasts. All you have to do here is if you use Apple Podcasts, you have an iPhone, rate us on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars, leave a review, send us a screenshot of your rating or review using the hashtag RateTheResistance to us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, and you'll be entered to win one of these shirts that is no longer available. The Make Solo 2 Happen variant red t-shirt. So good luck to you.
Pretty cool.
And again, you're also helping us out because these ratings help move us up in searches for people to find us on Apple Podcasts in the sea of Star Wars podcasts that are out there now. There's new ones popping up every day. So we appreciate you helping us out. Hashtag Rate the Resistance at RBATSWNN with your screenshot of your rating from Apple Podcasts. Hopefully 5 stars. Hopefully you like us. And good luck to all of you out there. But we have been putting in a ton of time into TRB, especially during this pandemic, guys. And I know everyone listening and watching out there supporting us has kept us going. So we kind of thought it would be a good idea to make this episode about you out there. And we're going to do kind of an all Resistance members episode. So we're going to do Ask the Resistance, Pod Race, Resistance transmissions, all from you here. And we're going to do our best to make a fun discussion of this stuff. So guys, do you want to get into this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll just all tackle each one of these and we'll run through these questions. We'll start with Ask the Resistance, and we'll get going right now.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Okay, the first question comes from Jeremy at JediJer_86. What's going on, Jeremy?
Hey.
He asked, when do you guys think the first story relating to Rey's parents will be released, and in what form of media? Lacey, what do you think?
So it's interesting because I'm conflicted with this because I don't feel the need to go into detail of who Rey's parents are. I feel like it was one of those things that like everybody was questioning it the entire sequel trilogy, but I don't think it's something that really is needed to know like the deep down details of like what happened and who they were. I think they might get mentioned from time to time in flashbacks for Rey. So probably if they end up doing some type of Rey comic or book in the next 5 years, they'll probably mention them, but that's as far as I think it will go because from my own personal opinion, I don't think we really need to know more. I'd like to know their names at least. That would be nice.
Right. Yeah. So people stop saying Steve.
Yeah.
James, what do you think on this?
I'm kind of with Lacey. I don't think they will. I think if they did it, it would be really interesting, but I don't know how you do it, and I feel like it's pretty far off, if anything. I mean, years.
Yeah, I think you're right. The only way I think they would do it right now is if they do a comic run post The Rise of Skywalker with Rey involved, and she has like visions or dreams about actual things that happened. Like she sees it having happened through the Force. And she sees her parents maybe more of what happened. And now that it's all kind of clicked with her, maybe she connects herself with those occurrences. But I don't think it's going to be a, blank and blank comic. Here's the parents and this is what they were doing. I think it'd be more of, like you say, maybe pop in somewhere that has to do with Rey or something. But yeah, not sure. All right. The next one is by Kylo10 at Full Commander. And she asked, if you could go back in time to 2012 and show yourself one scene from the new Star Wars to assure yourself that Disney would do a good job, which would you choose? Assume your past self doesn't care about spoilers. It's pretty funny. I'm just going to say it right now. The scene that made me realize to me that Star Wars was back, and that's when Poe and Finn steal the TIE Fighter. When they're saying like, good to meet you too, woo! And I got one, did you see that? And I'm like, wow, that is Han and Luke shooting down the TIE Fighters in A New Hope style. It's adventure, it's fun, it's back. So that's the scene for me. What about you, James?
Yeah, no, I kicked around a couple different ones, and one that I really seriously remember being in the theater and being like, holy crap, was the Holdo maneuver. Like, and I think that, I don't know, I feel like if somebody showed me that, years in advance and was like, hey, the sequel trilogy is gonna do things that they've never done in Star Wars. You're going to see different uses of lightsabers, different uses of ships, different uses of even politics to different degrees, And so it just, I don't know, it's like a whole other adventure. Check this out. Here's a clip of somebody light speeding like a giant warship into another one.
Yeah.
It's like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. That's true.
It was pretty cool. Very similar to Rogue One, too. Like, I loved that. But the question was more about the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. Lacey, what about you?
So my gut reaction was the Star Killer based lightsaber fight, but the reaction I had to Rey grabbing the lightsaber, I wouldn't want that spoiled for myself. So, my second pick was the Millennium Falcon flight scene with Rey and Finn at the beginning of The Force Awakens. It's super fun. You see two new characters, which would then leave me being like, who are these people? And then also, where's Han and Chewie? Because they're obviously on the Millennium Falcon. But It's another scene that, similar to you, John, is just pure Star Wars fun.
Yeah, it's one of those like pump your fist, like your popcorn gets shot everywhere because you're excited type of scenes, and I love those moments. Okay, good picks. All right, next one. As one in the Force asked, with the very subtle references to the Old Republic in the recent films, like the third Revan Legion, as mentioned in the official Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary that James is holding up for you YouTubers out there, like Vanna White. Do you think Lucasfilm will...
Available now, Amazon.com.
Do you think Lucasfilm will bring that era of galactic history to the screen in movie or TV? So, Lacey, what do you think about that?
So I want them to, but do I think they will? Probably not.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think that they're kind of focusing on like other new stories to tell, and they're trying to grow outside of what's already been told.
Right.
So I can't see them going back, especially stuff that people really, really, really love and they want to see more of.
Okay.
Because
James,
people get really attached to those things.
Yes, I agree. That's tricky stuff because a lot of that area was explored in the legend stuff, and people are very, possessive
I think
of that.
there's a lot of baggage that comes with it, so people kind of... if I was at Lucasfilm, I'd be like, yeah, let's kind of...
Like, if you were in charge of doing, like, a Knights of the Old Republic reboot, I'd be like, can someone else do that, please?
I want them to, as a fan, but I don't think they will.
Oh, God. Those fans are... passionate is the word.
Yeah.
James, do you agree they're not going to explore this, or what do you think?
I don't know. Whenever I think like what would be like a great cinematic event, I do think that we're saying, hey, this is what we're doing, and all the fans go, what? I mean, like it would like be crazy.
Yeah.
But I do think that you run into that, like everybody was crazy for the sequel trilogy, and then like as it kind of went on, people were like, whoa, what are you doing? So I think we might kind of get that response. My thing with it though is I think you do a lot better if you revisit this in a TV series. And I think they're pacing their TV series out, but long term they want to do that one.
Yeah, that's
I think they're setting it up. They're like, hey, we'll do Mandalorian, and we'll do Cassian Andor, and we'll do Kenobi, and then they've got like 3 more that like are maybe on the table or whatever. But they said once we get this thing rolling and we really like lock in how we're doing them and people are responding to them, we got it going. That's when we do the long form 7-season epic. But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Like, so they're not even planning it. They just know that's the end goal.
It's their 5-year plan.
Are any of you guys well versed in Legends in terms of this Revan stuff and this era and anything like that? Because
I know the story, but I'm not like, you couldn't like quiz me on it.
Because it makes me think of like that comparison, and this is why I don't know that they're gonna do it. And if they do, it's going to be in a long time. I think that's how you were alluding to it,
His look
James.
is very Kylo Ren.
Okay, right. I think they borrowed the idea from that, right? And
then Rey's look is very Bastila too. That's where people kind of pulled from with The Force Awakens.
So I'm just thinking with the Game of Thrones reference, when people are like, well, they deviated from the books and the comparison, and that's going to be like that in Star Wars fandom if they change things that fans thought was their canon and stuff. And it's just do they need to tell this story, and is it going to be worth the headache that's going to come with it? So I don't know. Right now I would say no, but maybe things cool down in a few years and they explore it. But it seems like it'd be a big undertaking, like you said, James, like that's epic 7-season thing. So I just don't see it for a long time if they do it.
That's the thing though about Game of Thrones is there was always those fans, right, that were like, well, this isn't the books. But I don't think that was the backlash against Game of Thrones. And
right.
The real backlash against Game of Thrones only came when they didn't like the chosen ending. It didn't have anything to do with like, this isn't how the real story goes and you messed it up. It was like, it had already expanded and turned into its own thing, and everybody was like pretty cool with that. They just didn't like the ending. So
I wonder if George
I don't
R. R.
really
Martin
know that
was
that's
like,
a similar comparison.
yeah, I wonder if George
Yeah,
R. R. Martin's like, I'm just gonna do what they do want. Like, I'm gonna change my ending according to what people want.
Yeah, I mean, it's never going to be a direct parallel, James, but I guess what I mean is there's existing content, and that's what the people who are like, I hate using the term like hipster about things, but it's like, oh, I like that band when they're with their early stuff, or like, I like the books. Did you read the book? The movie stunk. Like that whole idea. And like, there are Harry Potter fans that are like that.
The book is better.
Right. So
Yeah.
there's going to be those fans, especially Legends fans. Some of them can be really just super passionate. Again, I'll use the word
The
passionate.
Hunger Games books are better.
But yeah, who knows?
I'm still not a fan of this comparison.
Oh,
though, 'cause
okay.
The thing is even in those categories, like those fans aren't the outright fans. People aren't like, when you look back at Harry Potter or Game of Thrones as a whole, the real failure was that they swayed from the source material. That's not the conversation.
Right.
While it's happening, you have those pockets of fan that are like, oh, that just sucks or whatever. But it's not the public opinion of the properties that you're giving examples of. That's why I think that if they inevitably ended up doing this show, I think you would have people that would be like, well, that's not how it really happened. But I think the average person who watches Mandalorian and Kenobi on Disney Plus are going to be like, this show freaking rocks.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, any part of Star Wars fandom, there's a lot of headaches, and Lucasfilm is
but I don't
readily
think
aware of them.
I don't think they would like sway away from it because they're afraid of those fans.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It didn't rock Harry Potter.
When they greenlight Ryan Johnson's
Thrones.
movies, I'll agree with you.
When what?
When they greenlight Ryan Johnson's trilogy, I'll agree with you.
Well,
He talked about his book that I really want with all
His
the behind
trilogy
the
already
scenes
is greenlit.
photos. I got like really excited when he talked about that on Twitter.
Oh,
about
the
how
black
he was
and
gonna
white stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I really want that book.
Even that, though, was so funny. Like, not to deviate, but he's like, yeah, I had some discussions with them about it. And even that sounds like they're kind of
I want that
distant.
book so
Like,
bad.
something, I'm telling you, something weird's going on. But anyway.
Black Adam, The Rock said he was playing Black Adam.
Yeah, a long time ago.
2014.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Jungle Cruise took a really long time.
I'm just saying. Sometimes I just think we're looking at it like it's Star Wars, but
I think it's
I don't
everything.
think it's the fact that they're having issues with getting The Rock on board.
I didn't say
How
it was
about
just
the
Star
Dark
Wars,
Universe
but
with,
we're a
like-
Star Wars podcast, so I talk about things that are happening
No,
in
I
Star
understand.
Wars.
I understand.
Yeah.
But what about like the Dark Universe with like Tom Cruise and all those people, like the Mummy?
Well, that is something completely different.
I'm very excited for that to come out. Yeah. Tom Cruise will be 80 doing stunts and stuff. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question. Ben Thompson at Crystal of Truth said, which Star Wars animal or creature, non-sentient, would you most like to see in real life? Also, which would you be the most worried about meeting? James, you go first here.
Some of these, we had so many, I was like, oh, I know the answer to that. I'll have to think about that, Worried about meeting in real life, I think probably would be, there's a ton, but probably just to stick to the movies, like a Rancor.
Yeah.
All right. So,
because I think I don't know, they feel like, I know he's like trapped in a pit with the Rancor, but I still think there's something about like, they kind of come off like a bear. Like you're like, hey, look at that bear over there. And then like the person like spends the next 50 minutes trying to kind of get away from the bear, but it seems like it just keeps getting closer and it becomes a problem until they eventually get attacked. Rancors seem like if you see them, like you're already in danger,
Mm-hmm.
They seem like they could be one of those things.
So is that you're the most worried about seeing and you're the most excited to see? Both in one?
No, I don't know what I'm excited to see.
I thought you were going to say Crystal
come back
Fox.
to me on that one.
Come back to you?
Yeah, that would be like the one I'd want to own or whatever, but
Little
I don't
Jingle
know, like
Jango?
if I went to a zoo,
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be like the gotta go to the Crystal Fox first.
No?
I would probably I mean, if it was a
After
zoo
you're
of Star
surfing
Wars
in
creatures,
in San Diego, gotta go check out the Crystal Fox, bro.
yeah. The Get Wet Shop. Let's see. No, I don't know. Come back to me on the which one I'd like to see.
Okay. Lacey, what creature non-sentient would you be excited to see, and which would make you the most worried to encounter?
Worried, because we started with worried, so I'll go worried. Worried, a wampa.
Mm-hmm.
That would definitely kill me like so fast.
Yeah.
I actually just thought a wampa might be an even better answer to
because
what I said.
The
yeah,
Rancor seems to work a little slower than the wampa, because Luke was able to run through between its legs, so I feel like I could like get away. Whereas the wampa, I feel like he got Luke pretty bad. Then I'm just like out of luck.
Yeah.
Happy wise, things I would like to see, probably porgs. They're so
That's
cute.
cool. All right.
The porg exhibit would be amazing.
Yes. That would have been a really popular answer in December 2017.
Well, I think it still would be a popular
No,
answer.
I know. But Porg Mania was insane.
They would have to get like an exhibit for them because they'd be too stupid to live in the wild. Like they'd
That's
be
true.
like the dodo bird.
I agree.
that would
I
just,
think you're
like,
right.
Go extinct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're so cute.
Okay, so Wampa, worry, Porg's cool. All right. Mine is pretty simple. I want to see jacked fish.
I knew you were going to say this in one of the answers.
I want to see jacked fish. I just want to see it. Just like, I don't know, something about deep ocean creatures like fascinate me.
Ugh, deep ocean scares me.
But because deep ocean scares me, I'd also be very worried to see jacked fish. So it's both of my answers.
Imagine how deep the water has to be for you to see that.
Like, so I am very afraid of the idea of like getting bitten by a great white shark, but it's the animal I want to see most in the world.
How often are you in the ocean?
That's what I'm saying, though. I want to do it. I want to do it, but I'm also absolutely terrified of it.
Interesting.
You ever have those things in life where you're like, I'm so fascinated by this, even though it terrifies me?
No.
Like people who like skydiving, who are afraid of heights. You don't. Okay, that's fine.
No.
But there are people out there who would relate to this and make it
I'm
nice,
not saying that. I'm just saying
a nice podcast volley. Like, oh yeah, definitely, man.
Okay,
You're just like,
first
no.
of all, you said,
shut
do you
it
feel
down.
this way? And I said, no, I don't.
But jacked fish is the deal because I'd want to see it, but I'd be scared that he'd grab me and bite my head off.
That's pleasant.
Yeah. James, back to you.
Dude, I have no clue, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe and I don't know the name of it, but the thing that Obi-Wan was riding on in Revenge of the Sith might be kind
The
of
thing that was like, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, that
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would be like they're nice and they're almost like sentient in like a Bondy way,
Right.
you know, but like not actually like a thinking creature.
The old car alarmus. Yeah.
car alarms. I don't know, man. That's tough. Animals never really get me in Star Wars. I like the aliens, but
Yeah.
Not even porgs?
Well, maybe something will hit you at like question 9. You'll be like, oh, got it.
yeah, I tried looking through the book, but there's nothing here for Rise of Skywalker. Like there's that snake thing, but he's not even in the book.
They really didn't.
know.
Now I think about it, there weren't really any creatures. That's kind of sad.
What about those little things on Pisana that were there for 3 seconds that they spent 80 million hours
But
on
like,
making?
I walk into the Star Wars zoo and I'm gonna be like, "Oh, first place we gotta go." Those little Pisana creature things that
Those
are
little
you know?
sunset
James would be
mice.
so fun to go to the Star Wars Zoo. He'd be like, why are we even here? Like, there's nothing cool.
No, I feel like I want to like look at the map and you know how they do like at zoos, like they just kind of put it like in color or like sections of style of planet, like desert.
We would walk into the Star Wars Zoo. I'd want to go to the aquarium to see jacked fish. James would be like, this is so stupid and boring. And Lacey would go find the biggest pretzel in the place.
And the porgs.
And the porgs. Yeah. We're like, guys, I found
There's
this
gotta be
giant pretzel.
And I
some-
wouldn't find the biggest pretzel. They're not normally gigantic. Just that one time. But I would probably get a pretzel. Okay. It's probably accurate.
All right, Lacey, you're starting this next one off. The Mandalorian at Star Wars Eing said, do you think Ahsoka sensed Vader returning to the light and becoming Anakin again?
Every once in a while we get questions that I look at and I think of either you or James, and this is definitely a James question. I'm interested to see what he has to say, but my answer would probably be yes, because she senses him at other times, like when he goes bad and they have that connection. So I would say yes. And I would hope that she senses that because, it's got to be really terrible for her when he does go bad. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no, because I think it's better for the overall story of Vader for her not to be sensing that stuff.
Sure.
Because then it could be like, well, Ahsoka knew the whole time and didn't do jack about it. But I like it better that Luke sort of drew that out of him. And even the Emperor wasn't sure. He's like, are your feelings sure on this thing? Right up toward the very end. So if the Emperor didn't sense it, I can't see why Ahsoka would when she was way out of the picture at that point. So I'm saying no. I have a feeling James may disagree with me and be with you on that, but...
Depends where she is. We don't know, right? We don't know where she is.
Right.
Or if
except
she's
in
dead.
Every upcoming Star Wars project.
Or she could be dead.
Not if the rumors about Mando are true, right?
Wait, what?
Do you think Ahsoka Tano...
No. She said she might be dead. That's not the case.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
She retracted the statement.
Okay, yeah. She's definitely alive. Canon confirmed. Definitely.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Do you have an answer, James?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Is I think that could, like, why didn't she do anything? I think she would have felt that. I think so. At this point, like, yes, she's the only Jedi we know of that's out there, but I think the history of what we've kind of understood is the only reason that people didn't feel a significant change in the Force is because there was nobody else out there who could. Which is why we've kind of written that story in our head. But, I mean, something like Alderaan blows up, Obi-Wan feels it, Something like... Order 66 happens, and I know those are big events, but I also think, like, the Emperor is gone, Darth Vader, the other presence of evil, is also gone, Anakin is back, and I feel like that sway of balance in the Force would have to be felt by other people in the galaxy that are attuned to it, especially someone at this point who is as wise as Ahsoka is to shifting tides like that.
So you're taking it as the moment he turned, did she sense that? I took it as she saw a vision of the future, seeing him while he's Vader, seeing him potentially turn. Oh. I may have read that completely wrong.
I took it as he turned
Maybe
good
I
and
read
she
it wrong.
felt it.
So the moment, okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Do you think Ahsoka sensed Vader returning to the light and becoming Anakin?
I read that as one day returning.
No. I took it as, like, in that moment when he comes back to the light, if she senses it from wherever
I was thinking, like,
is.
at the end of Clone Wars as she drops her lightsaber or whatever.
I was wondering why you said, then why didn't she do anything? And I was like, I also thought, like, well, if she
I think
knows,
I read it wrong. Yeah.
Because in one of the books, they're like, the credibility of Luke is very loose when they say, like, it turned out that Anakin was actually, like, a good guy and he was the one who killed the Emperor. It's like, nobody cares, nobody believes it. His testimony is the only testimony of that. And then I kind of thought, well, technically, you would probably have other Force users out there, including Ahsoka, who would be able to testify, no, we do. But I think the Force at this point in the galaxy is just kind of like lost. There's no, I after Order 66 happened, and all the way up to the sequel trilogy, I just don't think people believe really in the Force. I mean, I know there are people who do, but it's not like a galaxy-wide thing, right?
I mean, you got Obi-Wan's message telling people to believe in the Force or trust in the Force, but on at the beginning of Rebels or whatever, like his holocron message to Kanan.
Yeah, I mean, it only went out to like surviving Jedi.
I know. Yeah, I wonder if it was like, all right, let's just get that to whoever is still out there. All right, so yeah,
it's a really good question though.
I may change my
as much as they like
Ahsoka,
we'll probably at some point see that happen in canon. Maybe it's in Mandalorian, maybe it's in the like rumored animated thing where she comes back to like, I became something different when I realized the balance returned to the light. Or something.
Yeah, if it's the moment, now that I'm reading it properly, I think I agree with you guys. I think she would feel it. I was thinking of it as like a predictive, like Yoda, I sense the future or something. So I think I'm with you guys there. All right, next one. Jedi Knight Karina at Firelord Karina. And she asked, do you think in the future of Star Wars they're going to add more diversity to the main characters? My wish is to have more representation in a franchise I love. Lacey, you want to take this one first?
Sure. Hi, Karina. Thanks for your question. I would say, yeah, I think we're already seeing that. As projects are coming out, we're seeing more and more diverse characters, which is great. We saw Enfys Nest. We see, Carl Weathers playing Grief. Well, I'm messing up his name. What is his name?
Karga,
that's it. Pedro Pascal is the lead in The Mandalorian. We're seeing the more diverse characters and actors come into Star Wars, and I think that's also on the flip side going into the behind the scenes stuff with like a Taika coming in and a Leslie Headland coming in. Like, you're gonna see more and more diverse characters and storylines and points of view, and it's gonna be great. I'm all for it.
James?
I mean, yeah, I don't see them slowing down at all. I think that practically every project that's been live action from this point on, I mean, you have Solo, and that's a white guy, and you have Beckett, and that's a white guy. But even in that movie, you have a pretty heavy female character, a black character, and then you have like another character who is a droid, but she's female, and she's fighting for rights of the droids, and it feels, very feminine pushed. But then you look at everything else. I mean, Force Awakens basically had like 3 minorities. You're right about Mandalorian. You have a female, Hispanic, and a black character, like all in the forefront. I mean, name a project. Rogue One. You have a Hispanic character. You have an Asian. You have 2 Asian characters. You have a female lead. I mean, it's like I don't think there's any chance of slowing down, and I don't think they're saying that this is holding them back, so they're just going to keep the course the way that it is. So I would almost say that there's way more minority than there is anything else, in Disney Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, since 2012, obviously. I mean, when George Lucas was making the movies back in the 70s, it was just a different world. It wasn't like it just wasn't it just wasn't how things were, and he just cast happened to be 3 white leads, right? But then since 2012, I think they've done a remarkable job. And if you believe in Kathleen Kennedy and what she said, we are very focused on this, and they've proven it. You've had your first female Star Wars directors. Your first one was African American. Then you had an Asian female directing The Mandalorian, who ended up being people's favorite, I think. So like Lacey said, the behind the camera is another aspect of it that may be just as important as on screen. It depends. If you want something out on the screen and see yourself in Star Wars, I get that. But also people bringing this franchise to life, to me, is always a very, I think, big thing. And if you can have representation there, I think that's huge too.
It goes further than the movies and live action too. I mean, even some of the stuff in the High Republic, you have new characters coming in that are black and female, and Iden Versio as well.
Right.
And some of the other characters that are in those video games.
In the video games, yeah.
Galaxy's Edge, the V character.
Vimerati. Yeah. And there's another one that I was just thinking of. Oh, Dr. Aphra as well, like female, Asian, gay. I'm not really sure what the correct term is,
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, I don't think there's any chance that they're planning on stopping here.
No, I don't think so either. All right. Thank you for the question, Karina. Okay, next up, Chris van de Meel at Belgian Prop Crew. And he asked, Lacey, I think this is one of those guys that does those you were talking about on last Thursday.
Yeah, Belgian... he was also on our virtual cantina. He's the guy with the really cool helmet.
Oh, right. All right, very cool.
With the red stripes. Very
yes,
cool helmet. Chris,
what's going on? All right. Chris asked, why do you love Star Wars and how big of a part of it is it of your life, and how is your love expressed in your daily life? James, you want to start this one off?
Why do I love Star Wars? I don't know. I think my general answer for this is connectivity. I love how the stories come together. I love flipping the page and seeing a ship from a TV show, or I love hearing that you're going to be working with this character from the movie, in this book or whatever. And I like all the little pieces and how they all come together. And I think I've said that a number of times. That's why I love it. I love the connectivity of all the different properties and how they all stick together. But how has it affected me in my regular life? I don't know. Definitely, like, I'm assuming most people listening to this podcast are the Star Wars person, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's like, oh, what kind of a birthday cake should we get him? Star Wars birthday cake, because that's the surfacey thing that we know they definitely like, and we're not going to go wrong with that.
Anytime anything Star Wars comes up, they send it to you.
Yeah. But I find that, like, my wife, for instance, says that I do the opposite of that, whereas, like, most people would stay quiet about it. Like, the second Star Wars gets brought up, that's when my personality becomes alive, and I like want to talk to people about it.
Right on.
And, like, there's other things going on in real life, and I don't care about them, and I have no information on them. I'm like, I don't know what Trump is signing. I literally could not tell you. Right. But do you want to talk about Bail Organa?
Like, Bail Organa is signing this in this fake story that exists that I love so much.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Like, I love Star Wars so much because it is just this wild fantasy adventure story that you can just kind of escape to. And it has this endless possibilities, and anyone could be the hero thing, and it just, like, I don't know, it keeps that kid in you alive in a way. And then in terms of, like, it's every day, how it's expressed every day, it's like doing this stuff. Like, I am constantly either writing, doing Star Wars Newsnet stuff, or doing podcast stuff. Like, we are doing so much more and more, like, every week, especially during this pandemic. And it's like, and it doesn't, it's not paying my mortgage or anything like that. We do this because we love it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's showing in itself. Like, it's like, I joke when I do the JJ thing saying passion project, but damn it if it isn't, right? So that's my answer. Lacey, how about you?
This is a tough question because Star Wars is, like, such a big part of my life. It always has been since I was little. It's driven kind of who I am as a person and kind of choices I've made throughout my life. In my career, going into video production was because of Star Wars. And then, once I got out of college and went into get a career, I started working at the overarching company of Reed Exhibitions, which Reed Pop is a part of. And I remember I was walking down the hall and they had this huge banner from one of their aisles at Celebration, and it had Darth Vader on it. And I literally was like, I'm in the wrong role. I'm in the wrong position at this company. And I promised myself that I would be working there in 3 months. And I did it. So,
Oof.
yeah. So I would say like Star Wars has just kind of driven who I am and what I do and, you know, who I'm friends with and being a part of this podcast. Before I was on the podcast in 2017, I saw pictures of John at the premiere for Last Jedi, and I came home and literally was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be at the next premiere. It's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll figure it out when I get there. Like, I'm doing it. And so
I said the same thing.
Well, James, you also went to the really cool press conference though, and like had a really fun experience. So I don't want it to seem like I'm bragging.
Talk
it's
to
just
the
more like
of live action development at Lucasfilm.
It's more like I have taken Star Wars into what has driven me career and goal wise, and it has changed my life. And being a part of this podcast and being friends with you guys and meeting new people and having all these crazy experiences that I never would have imagined. And then other than that, like my money goes to Star Wars. Like I buy a lot of Star Wars stuff, and my house is very Star Wars. And just like James, I'm the person that everybody gives Star Wars stuff to. Like my uncle found old movie posters in his house and he's like, here, Star Wars movie posters. Then they're like, oh, they send me a picture of a stormtrooper like in a newspaper because they're like, oh my God, I saw this and I thought of you. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Were those the posters that got all jacked up?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have
those, right?
I bought those. Yeah. I can't even express to you how sad I was when I opened them up. Note to self, well, not to self, but to anybody listening that sells stuff, make sure that the poster tube fits said posters before you ship them, because you will damage them. But no, these posters were like original trilogy posters from a movie theater that he had like in a closet somewhere, and he gave them to me.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it's just I express it through being online, talking to you guys, being a part of the podcast, doing stuff all the time, like John said, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it, and I'm sure these guys feel the same way, because at the end of the day, we do have a normal life in the sense of like jobs and bills and stuff, but we still spend all this time doing this just because it means so much. That was a long-winded answer. I'm sorry, but
it's funny because we just got off of Make Solo 2 Happen, and I think in some degree we were like, oh my gosh, that was just such a crazy day. And I know you guys even specifically were like, I'm exhausted. And I was like, I'm kind of like not. I think the only thing that's like, I still want to, like if I know this sounds terrible, but like if I didn't have my wife and kids and I was just alone, you know, I would not stop. I'm telling you, I would like edit, I would tweet, I would record, it would be like gaming. I think people can kind of do a mental thing where it's like, yeah, the only thing stopping me from gaming all the time is regular responsibility. I have to go to work and I have to clean up the house and stuff. But if I didn't have to do those things, I would never nonstop game, right? That's kind of like me in Star Wars.
I think the exhaustion, by the way, came from living normal life and then doing all that, because people don't realize like all the stuff we do behind the scenes of like editing videos and doing images and scheduling things and coming up with ideas and reaching out to guests and writing articles and writing show notes and doing all these things. And then on top of that, I'm doing my normal job, which is, you know, 8:30 to 5, and I'm doing basically the same stuff but for a company where I'm like constantly scheduling and responding to people, and it's like always on. I wish I could just do this for a living. Like that is the dream, right? But having it as just like a passion thing is good too, and it's keeping me going with everything going on in the world. Like some days you just wake up and you're like, man, there is so much going on outside of this that is so depressing and terrible that I need something to cheer me up, and that's what Star Wars is for me.
Nice. All right, we got two more, and then we got to head to the pod race. Louise at Louise MTM said, I remember you touched on this a little bit on the episode discussing Leslie Headland's show, but I wonder, do you guys think that from now on, Star Wars can explore different genres, making movies, shows of comedy, horror, romance, etc.? Thanks, guys. Lacey, why don't you start with this one?
Why don't you go first, John?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I think that Star Wars shouldn't do that, because I think if you peel back the layers of Star Wars, I think I've talked about this. I think it already includes, like, it encompasses all genres that you're looking for, aside from like gore and like rated R, like horror and stuff. Like, Star Wars is a comedy, a fantasy, romance, action, thriller, adventure, a coming of age, all these different stories rolled into one. You just got to look for it through that lens. And, just hearing like Filoni recently talking about, and George Lucas talking about Star Wars and, why it exists and how it came to be, I can't see them like deviating from the fabric of Star Wars. And if you like try to genre it and say like, we're going to make a comedy Star Wars, or we're going to make a like a thriller Star Wars or something, I don't think that's Star Wars anymore. So I think it already has everything that you're looking for in it, and that's what makes Star Wars so special and connects people to it. So everything you're looking for is there. You just have to put those lenses on and find it. That's my answer.
I agree with that. I don't think I could say it better than that. Go ahead, James.
I'm like waiting to see. No, when I hear this question, I immediately, my brain just goes right to horror, and I go, could we see a horror Star Wars? And I go, I guess if they wanted to like branch out and kind of do that. And I feel like that's where the question comes from. Is they're like, oh man, could they go down that dark and gritty route where we're getting like basically like a horror movie out of Star Wars, right? Because take any other genre, and I don't feel like people want that. Like comedy Star Wars, that has no place, right? Like Star Wars can be funny, like you were saying, John. It's got those elements in it, but I don't want like Dumb and Dumber in Star Wars. I don't want to see that movie. Like, and like I want to see the movie Anchorman, but I don't want to see Anchorman in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Like the tone doesn't line up. So comedy out, musical out, like you said, thriller, or like anything like that. Just a lot of those things don't really apply to Star Wars, and I feel like people are somehow slipping in horror because they see something like that Vader scene, or they think that you could have a pretty good movie, it is what it is, but at times things can be scary and gritty, and if they really leaned into that, then we would start to break out of the genre of Star Wars. And I'm like, I think all you want is a horror Star Wars. I don't think you want anything else. So as long as they keep what you were saying, like the tone that is Star Wars, then they're golden, because they don't need to break out into other categories. Yeah.
I feel like they're just with anything. If anything's around long enough, people just for whatever reason want to reinvent it. And I don't think Star Wars needs that, but
so like what's the X-Men movies, right? They had their genre, and then they were trying to do the one. It's still not out. What's the one?
I don't know.
I can't think of what it's called.
X-Men
but it was supposed
Days
to be
of Crap. I don't know.
No, it's the Eternals or something like that. Not Eternals. It's
Dark
the
Science,
young people. The young
Matter.
Yeah, it's the young people.
I'm blanking right
Mutant
now. I know
Academy.
exactly what you're
Mutant
talking
Academy.
about.
I know, I'm doing the same thing. No.
X.
But
something?
It's the one that was like pushed off and pushed off and pushed off and pushed
still
off.
pushed off.
And I think part of the reason that it's being pushed off is because they were like, let's make X-Men a horror movie, right? Yeah. And they made this thing, and then they look at it and they go, this sucks. This doesn't feel like X-Men at all. It's the tone's all off. It's a complete mess. And then they brought it back to Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige looks it over and he says, we're changing a couple things and we're going to like Marvelize it. And then now they put out different trailers, and the trailers look a little bit more in tune with what you see. I still have a strong feeling that movie's going to be a pile of garbage.
Well, it's like Suicide Squad.
Because it's going to be two different movies shoved together.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, David Ayers made one movie, and they cut it up because of what Deadpool did in the movie theater. They said, this movie isn't funny enough. Look what Deadpool did. So they took it, and the company that cut together that Bohemian Rhapsody trailer then got the movie and hacked it up and made it funny.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad shouldn't have been funny. It's not a funny movie, but anyway, I don't think I could answer it better than what you guys did, so I'm good.
Yeah.
I stand by those answers.
All right. Real quick on this one.
Okay.
No explanations because we are up against time here. But we'll squeeze it in because it's for the people, folks. WR0923 asked at WR_0923. We have all thought about what character we would play in Star Wars, but I want to know what character you would cast your co-host as. It can be any Star Wars movie, TV, books, or anything. So I said I would cast Lacey as Leia because she has a foul mouth and is a wise ass, but also knows how to get things done. And I said James is Obi-Wan because he has a calm demeanor, never gets too high or too low, and never lets things get to him, and he's good at what he knows.
Do you want me to go?
I'm afraid, but yes.
I think James is going to be Qui-Gon Jinn because he's really, like, cool, calm, collected, like, really thinks things through, hopefully doesn't die, but...
Hopefully doesn't die.
But I could, like, totally see him rocking, like, the half pony. Like, James could totally do that. And
He's rocking the hole in the stomach.
No, I'm saying not. Just ignore that part. But, like, he's into the whole, like, it's more than what
I mean, he used to have long hair, right? So there you go.
Did you? So my pick for John is Han Solo because he's a pain in the butt.
Ooh.
And you're a pain
great
in the butt.
pick.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it? Just the pain in the butt part?
You would argue every step of the way of everything. So, yeah. Han Solo.
I only take orders from one person. Me. Remember when I sent that GIF and you're like, that was the perfect response?
Yes.
All right, James, who you got?
Well, I just think it's funny because one of her thing was like, he's always prepared or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't do this question.
It's
right.
okay.
I just literally did not at all. Like, I saw it and I was like, I thought of one person and then I was like, no. And then, like, I never went back to it. So I'm 100% completely unprepared for this.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, John, you would be a sand person. And Lacey, you would be the Resistance member, and it was one of Mark Hamill's kids.
Just chilling behind a bin.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. All right. We are done with Ask the Resistance, so it's time to send it to Lacey to see what the generals are going to be doing here.
Yeah, so it's time for the Patreon pod race. So there are a lot of different ways that you guys can support us. You can like this episode, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And if you want more than the twice a week episodes and Mando Fan Show and everything else that we put out, you can check out patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Starting at $2 a month, you can get extra episodes, mini episodes. We do more than 8 a month. We have polls, extra access. There's just so much stuff. My brain is like, there's so much. But there's all different tiers that you could be a part of. And our top tier, our generals, get a chance to be on the show. So first, I want to thank them for being a part of the Resistance. So thank you, Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, Micah Harrison, Tampa Movie Guy, Michael Gaines, Jetta Rosewater, Beerfett, Russ Harbinson, Kendall Gelnar, I hope that's right, and Val Trishkov.
What do you mean, right?
I always like second guess myself when reading words. So
I thought you meant me. I'm just making up names. I'm like,
Kendall,
see.
aka Galactic Curator. I know who Kendall is. All right. So this week, to be a part of the show, we have General Andrew Staley. And his question is, we all love Chewbacca, and we probably haven't seen the last of him. If they never make a solo follow-up, which there will. Where do you think we'll see Joonas return as Chewie? Andrew, take it away.
So I think we'd all like to see Chewie back with Han at some point, but in my opinion, I think we're going to see Joonas back as Chewie as soon as Rey returns. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But honestly, as soon as they decide to bring back the sequel trilogy characters, Poe, Finn, Rey, I think Chewie and the Falcon would be a nice carryover from the Skywalker saga. And obviously, like you guys always say, they're evergreens where they can continue their journey on with the new generation of characters. So I think as soon as Rey comes back in the movies or whatever they decide to do, that's when we'll see Joonas return as Chewie. We'd always like to see him back with Han, so that'd be a great way to do it. But I think it's going to be with Rey in another set of movies at some point down the line in a few years. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate all you guys do. Make Solo 2 happen, and may the Force be with you.
All right. It looks like Chewie left your house, John, and went to Andrew's house.
He's
and
back,
is now
baby.
Back at your house. So what do you
the
think?
Magic of...
So what do you think of Andrew's answer?
Well, Andrew's always very optimistic, so I think in his heart of hearts he believes that Solo 2 will happen in some form or another, and Chewie will show up there. But we kind of forced him to answer this way, so I appreciate you playing ball here, Andrew, and bringing Chewie with you along. And I think I see a Jimmy Johnson shirt on you there, so good. I'm sure you're happy NASCAR's actually back, so that's cool. I like your answer because I do think no matter what happens, and even in his interview, Joonas said, if I never play Chewie again, it's been a great run and it's been a ride of my life. But I think even he would say, I think Rey and crew are coming back, and the way you keep things connected, like we always say in this podcast, the evergreenness of these characters that aren't human on the outside. Chewie has several hundred years left in his lifespan. Bring him and the Falcon back with Rey and all that, and that makes a ton of sense because I think we haven't seen the last of Rey, and they're not going to just say, oh, Chewie's gone now. So I think if they don't bring Han and Chewie back, which I really hope they do, obviously, I think you're dead on, spot on. Nice.
James?
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think that the thing here is that they have the perfect... They've set up these three characters and being Rey, Finn, and Poe, right? And it would be crazy to not go back to those characters at some point. That's where Chewbacca fits in. And I think from the marketing of Episode 9, they were, we never heard the term Skywalker saga until one day, somewhere in the process of making Episode 9, they go, oh shoot, dude, we don't have like a plan for for making these movies and stuff. So this is almost over. We got to figure out a way to keep doing stuff. Well, why don't we say 1 through 9 was the Skywalker saga, and then we can move away from the saga that isn't the Skywalkers anymore. We can create a new, and it will be like a handoff, right? Mm-hmm. 7, 8, and 9 will be the movie that had both, but then these ones are different, So right. I think that there's long-term plans with Finn, Rey, and Poe.
The problem, though, is that now she's Rey Skywalker, so it didn't really end.
I know. Hey, I hear the criticisms, mm-hmm. I think about them, mm-hmm. and then I don't repeat them.
That's fair. That's fair. But that is a good point. I think it's even mm-hmm. with her name being Skywalker, I think it's an easy way to just kind of continue it on, especially with characters like Chewie. Andrew, great answer. I hope they make Solo 2, as you know. But I do think the perfect way to bring him back is with Rey. They're a team, and I like seeing them together in the Millennium Falcon. Also, you have a lovely room with lots of collectibles, so I love that. Thanks for being an awesome fan. Yeah. So now we're gonna head to me.
You always do that. Just
I love when this happens.
I love when you make fun of me for cheesiness, and then you drop one of those things.
And then she gets all fumbled in it too, like.
And I guarantee.
And then, hi Lacey.
It's always,
hi Lacey.
Thanks, Lacey.
Yeah.
And then one of these.
All right. So anyway, now we're going to go to me for resistance transmissions. Thanks, Lacey. It's time for resistance transmissions. So the way that this works is every week, John puts up a wacky, crazy situation. And you guys give your answers. So we've had actually pretty wholesome ones lately. So hopefully this is a wacky one. Is it a wacky one?
It is.
I think so.
Cool. So
it's referential, topical.
The scenario is come up with a horribly written line of dialogue you would find on a fake treatment/script for The Empire Strikes Back that would make it obvious it was not real. So aka if I wrote any of those scripts, like how bad they'd be.
Because of the fake treatment that's been going around for JJ's episode.
Oh, is that what's going on?
8. People are like, oh my god, look how horrible this would have been. It's like, how do you not see that this is fake? But
my favorite thing is someone probably just has a scanner and they printed out stuff and they were like, let me just write on this, and then they scanned it back in. Like, there's so many ways you could just fake that stuff. All right, so up first is More 5150 at More 5150.
hey, Michael.
And he said, Dak, feeling all right, sir? Luke, just like new, Dak. How about you? Dak, right now I feel like I could take on the whole Empire myself. Luke, well, that's not going to happen. You're going to get killed pretty quickly. Then get stepped on by a big mechanical elephant. Dak, what?
That's really good.
Next up is Todd DeGrossier at Todd Knows Best. And he said, Vader, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. Luke, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. Vader, no, I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate. Luke, visible confusion.
Father's brother's, that'd be his uncle. His nephew. So that'd be his cousin's former roommate.
Second cousin?
AKA makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Could be second cousin or could still be first cousin.
The
Former roommate. So I'm you or your siblings. I'm Leia's former roommate, technically. Holdo.
But I'm visible confusion. Okay, so next is Brian Pothier at B. Pothier. And he said, Leia, I love you. Han, you complete me. Leia, you had me at hello 3. Oh, hello there. I thought it said 3. Sorry, I ruined that for you. C-3PO, did you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
That's amazing. Jerry Maguire.
Oh, that's funny. Mark at Dekine Vacans said, Yoda, for my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Midichlorians create it, makes it grow if you have over 20,000.
Oh my gosh.
Its energy surrounds us and binds us. That's why we are both friends with Chewbacca. Darth Vader built C-3PO and kissed your sister, you did.
Oh boy.
I think my favorite
All these
is
things are accurate.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is makes it grow if you have over 20,000.
You know what? I like a good prequel burn. We need to make fun of the prequels again for a little bit.
All right. Next up is Micah Harrison at Micah Ex Machina. And he said, Yoda, size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you? Luke, that's what she said. Yoda, and well, you should not, for my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Luke, that's what she said. This might be
good,
Hall
Micah.
of Fame for me.
That's really good.
Size matters not. That's what she said. All right. Rogue Squad 2 at Rogue_Squad 2 says, luminous beings are we, as Yoda's finger lights up and moves toward Luke's heart. In here, I will always be. Learn from a friend I did. Elliot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Next up is Megan at StarChaser_21. Hi, Megan. Vader said, join me, and together we can win Palpatine's baking contest. and bring brownies to the galaxy.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love a brownie right now. Okay. Next is Rick Villanueva at Cad Bane's Bounty. And he said, Luke to Leia, I don't like snow. It's cold, and it gets everywhere.
Like father, like son.
It does.
Next is Alex Zukis at Chewbacca. And he said, Luke falling down the shaft on Bespin. McClunky. And last but not least is James Solo at James Solo.
Any relation?
I don't know. And he said, Vader, now is the time for the Empire to strike back.
There it is, folks. Colin Trevorrow style.
All right, guys. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN and just look out for this situation. And then, give your answers. Back to John.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We hope you like this episode of the Resistance broadcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Leave that 5-star review. Tweet us at hashtag Rate the Resistance with your screenshot of your review and enter to win a shirt. All the other podcast apps, SoundCloud, Spotify, Podbean, wherever. Make sure you go to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Teespring.com/stores/Resistance broadcast to pick up one of our shirts if you're not a lucky winner. And you guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James?
Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks.
Lacey?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin.
All right. On Thursday, we'll be joined by, and this is like merging of my two favorite things here, New York Yankees play-by-play announcer Ryan Rucco will be with us. He's a huge Star Wars nerd, so he's going to bring his A-game, and he's going to join us to have some fun talking Star Wars as we always do. So we hope you have a great week, and we'll see you guys on Thursday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.